Welcome peeps, welcome to the channel. I'm Shango, a creator from Jamaica. This is ETT, Everyday Tech Things. Today I'm talking about the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Let's get a disclaimer out of the way. This phone was sent to me by Samsung Caribbean to do a more comprehensive review after I reached out to them and they saw my previous video. This is my honest review and they have no input in what I have to say about the phone and will not be seeing the video before it goes live on YouTube, just like you. Let's unbox it. You have the phone, some booklets, the charging cable, a SIM remover, and that's it. If you don't know, most high-end smartphones don't come with a charger. They say it's environmental, but check out Mr. Who's the Boss video about that. Thanks to iTech Computing for coming in clutch with this fast charger and a wireless fast charger. Check them out peeps. This is my first time using Android and this phone has Android 11 with One UI 3. I couldn't have wanted a better first experience for an OS than using one of the best phones out right now. My phone is an iPhone 8 Plus, so you know this is a massive upgrade. The Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra is a top of the line phone. This version comes with the Exynos 2100 processor, while the US version comes with the Snapdragon 888 processor. There has been some issue with the Exynos processor, but in the S21 Ultra lineup, both chips are comparable. The AMOLED display is no doubt one of the best screens out right now. True blacks and all the colors shine through. It peak brightness allow you to use it indoor, outdoor. Also have dual SIM, so you can choose to use Digicel, Flow, or any two chips of your liking. I'm trying not to get too attached to this phone because it's a review unit that was sent over by Samsung, which, as you know, review unit, you have to send it back. As I mentioned before, I did 2 videos about the Samsung S21 Ultra. I did a virtual first impression and I also did an hands-on where I went to the experience store in Kingston, but one of the issues is that I couldn't really experience the phone. I couldn't really shoot it either, but I'll link those 2 videos in the description so you actually can check them out. This is not a cheap phone. It's a $1,000+ US phone. So you can just imagine what that costs in Jamaica. Let's talk about the display. Dynamic AMOLED, 120 Hz, HDR10 with a peak brightness of 1500 nits. The dynamic wallpapers are pretty cool and it brings them to life. Everything looks amazing on this screen, from photos to videos, Instagram to YouTube, etc. Coming in at 6.8 inches with nearly a 90% screen to body ratio, with a resolution of 1440 by 3200 pixels and with a ratio of 20:9, 515 ppi density, and it has Corning Gorilla Glass Victus. But what did you expect from Samsung? They are the display makers. They even make iPhone displays. My experience so far with this phone has been spectacular. This is my first time using a 120 Hz display. All animations are smooth and feels natural. There's a fingerprint scanner under the screen. It is pretty responsive, but it doesn't work every time. On my iPhone 8 Plus, the fingerprint scanner works every time. I guess it's because the iPhone has a dedicated area for your fingerprint, while the fingerprint on the Samsung is in the screen and you're not sure if you're pressing the right area at all times. Seems a little bit slow. However, it works to unlock the phone. Battery. The battery life on the S21 is long lasting. I have installed all my main apps: Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, Gmail, YouTube Kids, so my son can watch his shows on it, and for his bad time to keep him occupied. I have turned the phone to max brightness and turned off adaptive brightness. After a full day of use, I'm getting like 4 to 5 hours with 20% left before charging. It has fast charging, so if I'm low on battery, I can get up to 40% in 15 minutes. I charge overnight, so I rarely do that. The battery is a 5000 mAh battery, also has wireless charging. So when I'm working at my desk, I just pop it on the wireless charge. Performance. Since I've been testing the S21 Ultra, what I've noticed performance-wise is that the phone is pretty good when it comes to playing video games, watching YouTube videos, general use of the phone. So I've been playing COD Mobile and also CSR Racing, the 2 games that I've been testing, so I can really see the performance of the phone, and so far I am amazed by this phone. It has held up very well with COD Mobile, like very responsive. Actually got to really enjoy the game because it's not lagging or anything like that, and it's an amazing phone in terms of performance with COD Mobile. Even run some benchmark on the phone to get a sense of how the phone really performs. And here are the results. It's running the Exynos chip, as I mentioned before, so you know it's not quite as fast as the Snapdragon, but it is just good enough to give you that high performance. And I must mention that the phone gets a little bit hot while you're playing games, and I can imagine that if you're playing game for a long period of time, if you use this phone as almost like a gaming phone, you probably will see some reduction in the performance of the phone over a long period of time. Design. The design for this phone, I really like it. So the unibody design that Samsung went with for the S21 Ultra is pretty nice. Feels like one piece of glass in your hand. Like even the camera module, it seemed very uniform. It's well spaced. All the three cameras are spaced evenly. It just feels and looks good. I love how the screen blends into the body. It just, you know, there's a small curve, but it doesn't feel overdone. It's not like you're looking at the phone this way and you're seeing the curve of the screen. It's just, the design is really good. I like the fact that it's almost a 90% screen to body ratio, which means that you're just looking at screen. Even though it has a punch hole camera for the front facing camera, after you're using the phone for a while, this punch out camera really disappears. You're looking at it, but you're not really even noticing it. While I'm watching YouTube videos and I like scale up, I'm not seeing the punch out anymore. So this is actually a good way to do the front facing camera. I have some issues with the front facing camera, which I'll be talking about when I talk about the cameras. Yeah, so one of the next thing about the design with this phone, I like the fact that all the buttons are on one side of the phone. So this side of the phone is clean. There's no button on this side of the phone. And on this side of the phone, you have the wake button or the Bixby button, which is, I don't know why Bixby even exists. And you have the volume rocker on this side. It feels more natural that way to have all the buttons on one side. When I want to reach for the volume button, I know where it is. Sometime with my iPhone, even though I've been using the iPhone for a while, I have to be figuring out which side is the volume rocker versus which side is the, the wake or sleep button. So far, I'm really enjoying this design. So the sound on this phone is almighty. It's just wow. Like the sound that comes from this phone is almost like you're using a boombox. It's a very small phone. Well, not that small, but it's an amazing phone. It's when playing YouTube videos or playing video games or just watching content on the phone, like you can turn the phone to max volume and you're not getting any distortion at all. So the sound on this phone is amazing. I even did a test with the phone versus the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and the Samsung S21 Ultra is much louder than the iPhone. How I did this test is I played the same song from YouTube on both phones and listened the volume to really get a sense of which phone is louder. I also use my sound meter to see what's the volume level coming from the phone. Here are the results. Camera. I had to save this one for last. Samsung put a lot of R&D into the camera tech for the S21 Ultra. Even though some of it is from the S20, they have made some improvement on some of these features. And the S21 cameras are beautiful. Gotten the specs out of the way, I've been taking a lot of photos and videos with the camera, basically moving around Jamaica or moving around Kingston and Portmore. And this camera is beautiful, and the camera is packed with features. Just swipe left and go to more and you open up a whole new world, Aladdin style. Pro video, director's view, just to name a few. The single take feature is pretty cool too. It allows you to capture multiple different shots in one go. The front facing selfie camera has face recognition. It seems to work, but while testing I realized that if you set up the front facing camera without a glasses and you put on a glasses, it will not recognize you, and I'm sure it will not recognize you if you're wearing a mask. COVID problems. So let's talk about the pro modes. So the pro modes give you a lot of features just like you're using a DSLR, a mirrorless camera to shoot. You are able to control ISO, aperture, shutter speed, white balance, etc. The director mode, pretty cool. It allows you to see all the cameras at once, so you can actually look at which camera will give you the best shot while using the director mode. Samsung really did well on these cameras. This also has 100x zoom. I've been testing it out, I've been looking at the shots, so you really only can do 100x zoom in photos. In video you can only go up to 20x zoom. Right now the 100x zoom is more a gimmick. The shots are not clean. You know, you can get to 100x and actually see what's there, or kind of make out what's there, but it's not usable photos, if you understand. So I am considered 100x in the S21 Ultra basically a gimmick. Let's look at some sample footage from the photos, the videos, to see what quality you get from these cameras. Plug-in capability of the phone. I don't know what the audio would sound like, but we're on the beach, just Saturday morning, nice bright sun, and I'm backlit right now, so let's turn with the sun facing me. See how it looks. This is my son, Masai. My overall view of this phone. So this phone is a media consumption phone. Watching YouTube, doing any form of thing that has to do with consuming media or capturing media, we're talking about the S21 Ultra, because this phone has a lot of features packed in it just for that. You know, the pro modes allow you to do more professional like recording or more professional like photos. That's what this phone is for. I can see any pro or prosumer using this phone or wanting to have this phone because of the features that this phone has, and it will allow them to create content without the need for all of this that I am trying to create content with. We have a camera here, I have a mic here doing the recording, I also have my laptop there with my script. So this phone can be your studio, so to speak, with, you know, recording your content. I believe that it's highly capable with doing that. I've been testing like recording content with the phone solely, and it is highly capable of doing that. I had some issues with the phone. So for instance, when I'm using Instagram and somebody send me like a video through Instagram message, I realize that I cannot play the video on the Samsung, but I can play the video on my iPhone. And I'm not blaming Samsung too much for that. I realize it's more a Android problem versus an iOS problem, and oftentimes when it comes to apps for Android, app developers have to create multiple apps for Android, and while on iOS they just create one app and it works across all the iOS system. This is a big issue when you are trying to get into phones and the type of phones that you want. So one of the next noticeable problem is that the phone gets hot while playing video games. As I said, I was playing COD Mobile and also CRS racing game, and I realized the phone get a little bit hot. Not too hot to like burn your hand, but enough so that you can feel it. I've been using this phone for the past 2 weeks and it's an amazing phone. However, would I switch from my iPhone to this? Yes and no. Here why. Alright. right now, currently, I have the iPhone 8 Plus. So if this phone was given to me, I would be using this phone 100%, no doubt. Buying this phone, I don't know if I would buy a Samsung phone. The reason being, I am kinda in an ecosystem problem. So if you know anything about Apple ecosystem is amazing. You can pick up your smartphone, you can copy something from your smartphone, go to your computer, you can just press paste and it's there. You can copy some text, paste, continuity, and the ecosystem on Apple is amazing. That's one of the issues that Samsung has. Even though Samsung and Windows have been working on it, and you have stuff that you can do with Samsung and Windows. So this you're seeing right now is my Windows computer, and Samsung and Windows have some similar features to what the Apple ecosystem has. However, I don't know if I would move from Apple to Samsung because of the S21. What I would do though, I would love to have both phones. So I could have my iPhone and also have a Samsung phone. That would be amazing. I don't see nothing wrong with having both phones. Just like I have a Mac computer here and I have a Windows computer here. I really have these computers for a different reason. I do most of my business stuff, banking, XYZ, on my Mac computer, and that's based on security reasons and stuff like that. And then for my Windows computer now I do editing, you know what I mean, my live streaming and stuff like that on my Windows computer. So I have the two devices for different reasons. And I would think if I have an iPhone and I have a Samsung phone, I would kinda work out a way to have them for different reasons. Mind you, as I said, this phone for media consumption is amazing. Like the screen is beautiful. I love the screen on this phone. The OLED coming from the iPhone 8, which is LCD. So it's not it's not super bright. This phone is wow. Thanks again to Samsung Caribbean for sending this phone over so I can do a more comprehensive review, because that was one of the things with when I was reviewing this phone in the early stage. I never had the phone, so I really couldn't test it. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't, experience it. And now that I've experienced it, it is wonderful. I'm Shango, a creative from Jamaica. This is ETT. Blessings and guidance.